Welcome to the Tartan Touchdown episodes, where we take you through all of the latest stories and talking points from this week in the NFL. Well, ladies and gents, we have got our first two playoff locks officially in, and with the way that the season's been playing out, these two are a little predictable. Most of this season has been wildly unpredictable, but these two being locked into the playoffs quickly was maybe something some of us seen coming. Now, before we get going, folks, remember, like, subscribe, follow the pod. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are wherever you get your podcasts. You can even watch along on YouTube, should you feel it giving yourself nightmares and wanting to look at my face. But yes, make sure you like, you subscribe to get all of the latest NFL action straight into your inbox. Now, this week I am joined once again by Gav. Gav, we're making this a bit of a double act, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, it just seems to be the way the schedule's breaking down for us. It's working well. It's good to be back. And the Giants seem to figure out how to tank the right way now that we have a quarterback in place. But yeah, there's plenty of games with significantly more playoff implications to be talking about. Looking forward to focusing on that this evening.
Absolutely. Well, do you know, this is good because right now, me and Gav, right, we don't get Victory Monday. We don't get that. Like, that's just not something we get. Although we are having like a parasitic Victory Monday. I'm claiming Victory Monday for us both, Gav, because our opening segment this week is locked and loaded. The teams that are locked and loaded into the playoffs. We have got the Rams. We have got the Broncos. You have been unashamed in your love for all things Rams all off season and in the season as we have went, and I have been equally unashamed in my love for the Broncos and how I've been baffled by how well they've been doing, but they do keep doing well, and they are the first two teams locked and loaded into the playoffs, as we say. So this is a question. I don't know if you've seen Dan Campbell's his presser after the Lions game, and he was being asked about, you know, what do you say about the Rams or the rest of it? And he was just talking about they're just a really amazing team, and they showed you tonight why they're why they're the first team in the NFC into the playoffs, and why they are a hot favourite to lock up the one seed just wholesale in the NFC. Is this now who the king in the? I was going to say the king in the North, even though it stands for national and not North. But are the Rams the kings in the NFC?
And I mean, they're certainly the pick of the bunch right now. There is a big game coming up this weekend, which, I mean, there seems a lot of them at the moment, but I think that the rematch against the Seahawks this weekend is going to go a long way to deciding who really is going to be the top, not just the NFC West, but actually I think the NFC as a whole. But I think whereas the Seahawks are maybe been flying a little bit under the radar, and the 40 quietly only a game behind both of these teams, the Rams are a side that have had the gaze on them for some time. They've obviously won a Super Bowl with Matt Stafford in the last few years, but last year in the playoffs, they gave a really good go against the Eagles, and I think they just looked like a team to watch coming into the season. It's absolutely proven to be this way. I guess this is the crazy thing. You've got two teams on 11-3 in the West. The Rams should have to go on the road yet in the postseason. But they will be a dangerous sight for whoever they face.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing, though. I mean, it's the kind of, I don't know. So for me, the Rams have seemed just really, really consistent all year. And yeah, you know, they're an 11-win team. Of course, they've been consistent. But they have looked really, really good. One of the big talking points that we did have coming out of Sunday's games is the injury to Davante Adams. It was it's the sport. We're going to talk a wee bit about some other quite significant injuries later in the pod, but it was one of the ones where, for me, you know, as a sports fan, it's one of the ones you hate to see a lot, because it's one of these ones where he wasn't tackled, he was just running his route, and you've seen it live where he just the hamstring obviously went in. Oh, no, that's not great. Out you come. I don't think we've actually had any information out yet about the significance of his injury. You know, well, the last thing, he's unlikely to play on Thursday against the Seahawks, although he's not officially ruled out. So it's not a season ender. It's nothing like that. But as you've said, you beat the Lions. Huge test, huge game. And yeah, you did that without Davante Adams. But you are now arguably playing your season-defining game against Seattle. I mean, this is one, it will go, well, will it totally settle out the NFC West? No, it won't, because there are other games to play this year. But it's going to go a long way to it. And as you say, it's going to go a long way to that one seed. What do you think? Is this something, the loss of Davante Adams on Sunday, is that going to be something that's going to have a huge impact on things going forwards?
I think it's hard to say that it's not going to be a factor. You're playing against another 11-3 team. You're playing on the road against the Seahawks as well. That's obviously a team that played the Rams pretty tight. It was 21-19 when they faced off at SoFi earlier in the season. So, of course, you want all your players there. Having said that, this is a tough team. I think Puka Nacua has obviously had issues, at various points in the last couple of years, and Matt Stafford has been able to power through. I think that it's absolutely going to be a factor, but you just can't count the Rams out regardless.
No, you really, really can't. On the Lions side of this, it was a bit of a sore one. You know what I mean? It's always a sore day when your quarterback chucks it for near enough 340 yards as you get an incredible day at the office for Amon-Ra. 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you walk away with nothing. You walk away with a participation medal. This is, and again, it's the kind of thing that sounds ridiculous to say. The Lions are 8-6, but they're third in the division. NFC North has been, for me anyway, I am going to say it's been probably my biggest shock division this year in terms of how strong it's been overall. The Lions, they are a team that is an incredible team. We talked about them all off season, how good they looked. Yeah, we were maybe being a wee bit nostalgic to the Lions that we've seen in the off season, but they are still cutting about. They are still on the bubble. They are not out of playoff contention by a long way yet. Is this something are the Lions a team that's on the bubble and looking to break in, or are the Lions a team that's on the bubble and not for you?
I think the thing for me is looking at the teams that are ahead of them. So they're a game and a half back on the Packers, I believe. I'm just actually checking the maths. So Packers are 9-4-1, aren't they? And the Lions are 6. So yeah, the Packers have got a game and a half lead on the Lions. Now, actually, obviously, we love our analytics these days. So the Lions have still got 41% chance of making the playoffs, which you would say is all right. But I think if you look at who they've got to catch up on in terms of those wild card places, it's going to be really difficult for them, especially given that the Packers have swept the Lions during the regular season. Then the 49ers are full 2 games ahead, and then Seahawks are 3 games ahead with 3 to play. Really, the Lions are hoping to catch up in the division, which I think is going to be incredibly unlikely because the Packers play the Bears, so one of them has to win that game and stay ahead of them. I think it's just going to be too much for them to come back. And I think they've obviously had some injury issues to deal with, but they also took the 1 seed last season with 20 plus players out injured at one stage. So they're a team that I think, again, we've kind of lived in that reputation. Aaron Campbell led, they play tough. They're always going to be in contention. I think last night I actually backed them to win in LA. So I was a little bit disappointed with that one. The feeling there was that they just needed it more for the first half. Certainly, it looked like they might actually get there. But I think that third quarter in particular, they were outscored 17-0, and then they chased the game at the end. So I think, as much as it saddens me to say, I do think the Lions are done, and they're going to be the outside looking in.
Oh, it's the kind of thing, it does make you sad to say, because they're a team I like a team in the playoffs, it's just that they're good fun to watch. And the Lions fit that mould, where they're a great team, they're a great team for the neutral to watch them. The other team that we've got this week who has secured playoff football for themselves, as we say, is the Denver Broncos. They were my pick before the season started to make it all the way to the big dance. So far, and I will continue to remind everyone of that until I'm proven to be wrong. Then I will never mention it again. But yeah, so they're looking good. They're sitting there 12-2, 34-26 win over the Green Bay Packers, as we were just talking about, which locks it up for them. They are on 11 straight wins. They have not lost since against the Chargers in LA, at the Chargers in week 3. They are a team that they are going from strength to strength. They're just playing incredible complementary football. But for me with this lot, and I don't know how you feel about this, the offense, I've kind of said the offense I've found a bit perplexing throughout the season. But the last 4 weeks, you have had Chiefs, Commanders, Raiders, which they apparently count as a legitimate football team, and the Packers, where they have put up 22, 27, 24, 34 points. The offense seems to be starting to find that rhythm to really get going. Is this something, I don't know, do you know what, Gav? Are you joining me in the dark side and we're going to just anoint the Denver Broncos as a Super Bowl participant elect?
We talked about this last week on the pod, so Sarah and I think the one thing that we said is that home field advantage is going to be massive. And I think we actually discussed this before as well. Home field, bringing teams to Mile High, whatever your record is, you've always got a bit of an upper hand there. I think that we know that there's a few big names that are likely to be missing out on the postseason this year. Certainly one in particular is confirmed as being out. And then I think there's a few others of the kind of the old favourite, the FC, that we've still got some question marks over. So, yeah, I think for me that Super Bowl berth really Denver's to lose at this stage.
Right, so it's good that you're mentioning that because this is great. You would think we planned this stuff, Gav. So one of the other big team for me anyway, from the AFC side, that you're sat there and you're looking at you going, right, well, you were the big pre-season favourite and you're still there. So we've seen some favourites fall off this year. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's the Buffalo Bills. So Buffalo Bills are sitting there. They are 10-4. They have just taken the scalp of the New England Patriots, and I've got questions about the Patriots to come later. But we've heard the jokes about Buffalo for years of the nearly, the almost, you made it to January football and then did nothing. Josh Allen is looking like he could very well be in the playoffs, in the AFC playoffs, with no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, and no Joe Burrow. Now, Lamar still could make it. And we're going to talk about teams that are on the bubble that could actually make it into the bubble. But you ain't going to see Patrick Mahomes. He will not be in the postseason. You will not see Joe Burrow in the postseason. Is this as good a chance as Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are ever going to get to actually shaking this hoodoo that surrounds Buffalo about, you're a great regular season team, but you've got nothing in the postseason? As chances go, is this as good as it's going to get for you?
I think in terms of the competition, it's the best opportunity they've had for a long time. But I've got to say, I think that there's still some major question marks over the Bills, even after the win against the Patriots yesterday. We've seen some of the games that we've lost. It's not been pretty. I'm a huge fan of Josh Allen, and it's amazing seeing kind of furiously compiled comebacks, which has been a theme not just throughout this season, but actually in previous season. Having said that, it's felt like Buffalo have been the team to beat in recent seasons. They've always been there or thereabouts in terms of contention for the number one seed. It looks likely that even despite the win yesterday, that the Patriots will probably still take the AFC East, which will put the Bills on the road during the postseason. We obviously talked about the advantage that the Broncos have in terms of, I think, finishing home field advantage for the postseason. As much as there's faces missing from the field, I do worry a bit about this Buffalo Bills team. That it's one thing to go 21 points down in a regular season game. I don't think that that's a scenario that you really want to be facing in January. They're this big win for them yesterday, and I tipped them to get it again. Really needed to prove themselves, but we've seen this before with other sides. That the Patriots, I know people had questions about them and saying, who have they beaten, but they could afford to lose that game yesterday.
Well,
it's
funny
not over the world for them.
Funny you mention that. Gav. The Patriots' opponents this year. So of every team that the Patriots have beaten, they have a cumulative combined. And yes, I know, before somebody goes mental at me in the comments, I know you can only beat the teams that are put in front of you. I am aware of how football works, and I am aware of how a fourth place schedule can play out. But the Patriots' opponents this year have a combined record. The Patriots we have beaten have got a combined record of 51-97 this year. Listen, Chicago fans, all of you Bears fans out there, sit down, get comfortable, enjoy this because I am never going to do it again. I was wrong. And this isn't just because you beat us, because let's be honest, I'm pretty sure some high school teams could take a win against the Browns right now. Imagine how many sacks Miles would get, though. But the Bears, I've made a big point about how the Bears have gotten to where they are against a soft field. The Patriots, and I have given the Patriots the benefit of the doubt, and I've said, oh yeah, but when I watch the Pats, the eye test, and they look a lot better, and I do stand by, I think the Patriots look better playing football than the Bears do. But they have got 2 wins against teams that are over 500. So, the Pats are sitting there, we're making this big point that, yeah, they're 11-3, they're sitting there, at the top of the tree in the AFC East. But are they flattering to deceive?
I think it's probably more a case of not proven yet, because they have, I guess, one of those teams over 500 that they have beaten is they beat the Bills at a high mark earlier in the seasons. They've split the season series. Obviously, that was a costly loss, just in terms of maybe, proving the doubters wrong yesterday. I think that they're still a capable team, but it's more the fact that it's a small sample size. This is a team that's just come back. Similar things were said about the Chiefs last season. They had a very easy schedule, particularly for a team that has won their division consistently. But obviously with Kansas City, they were the dynasty, and you can look back several years and say, okay, well, when it comes to playoffs, they'll be ready for it. On the flip side, Patriots have been away for several years. We don't really know what to expect from them. Like I say, I think given the record that they've gotten to, regardless of who that's against, afford them that one loss yesterday against the Patriots, against Buffalo, I should say. When the playoffs roll around, the Patriots are obviously currently sitting at the 2 seed. If the playoffs started today, that would put them up against the Houston Texans, who are a really slow start, have shocked a lot of people. I think to the point now that actually they're not shocking anybody, because that defense is just legit. We've talked about this many times before. They will pose problems for whoever they face. And again, still a bit to be decided over the final 3 weeks. Looking at that playoff bracket, I think you can be pretty comfortable with counting the Texans in there. Obviously, in terms of the other teams that are in wild card contention, you've got the Bills and the Chargers. The Bills obviously just beat the Patriots in their own house, and the Chargers are a serious outfit as well. It's going to be a difficult game, even with the 2 seeds and even with the home field advantage. I'm not going to say that the Patriots don't have it, because I just don't think we've seen enough yet. But it's a real question mark.
One of the bits that's really interesting, and I love a post game presser. If you've seen Vrabel's post game presser when he was talking about Josh Allen, as kind of how do you deal with Josh Allen? How do you solve a problem like Josh Allen? He's just basically turns around. He's like, he is 6'5". 237 pounds. He runs fast. He runs hard. He makes good decisions. He throws the ball quick. He's accurate. This is why he's paid $60 million a year to play this game. But yeah, fair enough. When Josh Allen's on form, Josh Allen's on form. Right. We've made a kind of bit about the teams that are in and all the rest of it, but a question we're going to go with. So for anybody that doesn't know, your playoff picture as it's sitting right now, as we said, you've got your Broncos, you've got your Rams, they are in, they are locked, they are loaded. In the hunt, and some of these teams are more secure in their positions than others. But in the AFC, you've got Pats, Jags, Steelers, Chargers, Bills and Texans all sitting there. If it ended today, there is your AFC window. NFC side, you've got Bears, Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, Niners and Packers. That's how your playoff window looks. You have then got 6 other teams who, some of these teams have got more reasonable chances of making it than others. I'm looking at you, Miami. But their 6 teams are still theoretically, they could get in depending on how things play out. On the AFC side, you've got the Colts, you've got the Ravens, you've got the Dolphins. And on the NFC side, you've got the Lions, the Panthers, Gav, and you've got the Cowboys. So my question to you, Gav, is, and I may have biased your answer slightly. Of those 6 teams, who do you quite like the idea of making the playoffs with a wee push?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've called it. I mean, I'd tip the Panthers to be a bit of an upstart team this going back to the pre-season. And I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. We saw yesterday they lost, obviously, in the final play to the Saints. So that's certainly not a result to be proud of. I think the big story is this is as much the demise of the Buccaneers, because they have really struggled of late. I think they're 1-5 in the last 6 games. And this division really is going to come down to two games between the Panthers and the Buccaneers over the final 3 weeks. The only thing I would say is that I think there is a bit of a difference in the other games. The Buccaneers have to play the Dolphins, whereas the Panthers think of the Seahawks.
Yep.
Pulling it off the top of my head. So that is obviously going to be a tricky one for Carolina, but they are a team that has gone to Green Bay and beaten the Packers. They've beaten the Rams. So certainly two of the best teams in the conference. I think one of the reasons I like the Panthers, just beyond the fact that the NFC South has been probably one of the softer divisions in the last few years. There just seems to be a bit of a not just a momentum, but I think a toughness building within the Panthers. That's a team that I think after the two New York sides have really been picking at the top of the draft repeatedly in recent years, and I think folks have tended to be down on them. But you've seen in games that they've just tended to play hard the whole way, and Dave Canal is really starting to build something there. You've got Bryce Young, obviously drafted a few years ago, now starting to find his feet as a competent QB1. So I think you've also now got Ted McMillan as well as giving him a target. He's looking to be the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So there's bits and pieces in that Panthers team to like. It's certainly not all been plain sailing, as we've seen last night. But I think just in terms of how the teams are trending and the fact that the Buccaneers have been struggling of late, I think the Panthers will actually see it through and take the NFC South.
This is a bit where I'm gonna disagree with you, and I'm gonna disagree for one reason and one reason only. And it's not because I adore Baker Mayfield as much as I do. What we saw, and yeah, the Bucs, they lost to the Falcons. They mismanaged that game really, really badly on Thursday. But what we saw in that game, that for me, I think this is the thing that has been missing from the Buccaneers not all season, since about week 3 or so, and its name is Mike Evans. Mike's back. He came in, 132 yards. The Buccaneers they've done okay. You know what I mean? They're sat there, they're 7-7, tearing it up and making everything, oh my God, this is a great team. They're playing in the NFC South. No one does that. But it is something where, yeah, we were all really enamoured with Igbuka and this really hot start he made to the year. He's cooled off quite remarkably over the past number of weeks. Godwin, he doesn't look like the player that we've seen pre-injury. You know what I mean? Godwin 3 seasons ago now was incredible. He's not looked the same. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. I am a wee bit sad for Mike Evans that obviously there is no way that he is going to hit his 1,000 yards this year. If he did, it would be a hell of a thing. But it is the thing where he is now back in that team. The Panthers and the Bucs need to square off twice. There is a kind of the difference in the games in the middle. The Dolphins are not the Seahawks. I just think that with Mike Evans back, we are actually going to see the Bucs. Are they going to win out the season? Am I brave enough to call it the Bucs winning out? It wouldn't shock me. Not massively. Panthers are okay. Panthers are beatable. We know that. The Dolphins are definitely beatable. Nobody knows who you're getting out of Miami these days. Yeah, I'm going to agreeably disagree with you. I just don't think that I love the story, and I'd love it if you were right, because it was such a ballsy claim pre-season that the Panthers are going to be an upset, and they could still be. Honestly, I was looking at this thinking, do I have an upset in here? And I don't. I think the Panthers are the only team that really stand a chance of getting in from our guys that are on the bubble. The Colts, no, it's not happening. The Colts are not making it. I'm sorry. Ravens, no, I don't see it. Maybe, I suppose, depends how tonight goes. We'll wait and see what the Steelers do against the Dolphins. If that doesn't go their way, for the sake of anybody that likes these stats, by the way, if the Steelers win tonight, they are 61%. Based on the NFL's probability of making the playoffs. If they lose, it drops to 45%. and the Ravens are currently sitting in 47. So the AFC North is up for grabs. But yeah, I think I'm maybe going to back the Steelers in this one. Dolphins are the Dolphins. They're going nowhere. But I don't remember it, and I'm not going to pretend to remember it, and I don't have the time to look it up now. But the list of things the Cowboys need to go right to get into the playoffs is class. And it's like one of these things, they need this team to win and this team to lose, and then they need Santa Claus to deliver them a tiebreak, and it's a bit nutty. But yeah, I think your call for who is the most likely to be an upset is right. I don't think the upset is coming. I think the Panthers are making it. Sorry, I don't think they're making it. I think the Panthers are cooked. Right, on the notion of things that are cooked, because it can't all be good news. I've been too cheerful, Gav. I've been far too optimistic. We are, well, what are we sitting here? We are a half hour into this pod, and I have not been miserable yet. So it is time for misery, because we hate seeing it. We have got two big season-defining injuries coming out of the weekend. We have got Patrick Mahomes. He went down. His left knee went. And Micah Parsons, he went down, his left knee went as well. Parsons, we know that that's been confirmed. It's his ACL. It is gone. He is done for the remainder of the year. Mahomes is seeking a second opinion, but it does look like it's probably exactly the same for him. KC are out anyway. They are eliminated from playoff contention. Green Bay are obviously very much still in it. So, oh yeah, and it's worth noting that Jane Daniels is also done for the year. That was confirmed this evening that the Commanders will not be rolling out Daniels again, but the Commanders have 4 wins, so no one really cares that much. Sorry, Jane. Long-time listener of the show, of course. So, my question for you, Gav, and we'll go with this in 2 ways, right? We'll start with Green Bay. Green Bay are currently sitting there, and they've lost their record, 9-4-1. 9-4-1. They're sitting at the 7th seed. In the NFC. Does this make their position really precarious, losing a player of Parsons' talent? Desperate to say no, it doesn't matter. You're desperate to say it.
I think it depends what you mean by their position, because we talked about this earlier. They've got a game and a half lead. In fact, it was really a 2-game lead on the Lions currently, because they hold the tiebreakers. I think that no matter what, the Packers have enough to make the postseason. I don't see them falling out of contention, as I'm actually just checking their remaining schedule in the background.
I'll tell you, so the Packers are at the Bears, they're home to the Ravens, and they close it out at Vikings.
Yeah, and I think if you look at those games, I do actually like the Bears at home to win the rematch against the Packers. I know the Packers won at Lambeau. I just have a feeling that the Bears will take that one. But I think if you look at the other 2 games, the Vikings, it's been a bit of a mixture. Okay, it's week 18 that they play the Packers. Anything could happen there. It's also in Minnesota. But I think you would still like the Packers to see that one through and clinch their postseason spot if push came to shove. The Ravens, obviously another team that's very much in playoff contention, but not really playing to the standard that we've seen in previous seasons. So that, to me, still feels like one where Green Bay has the edge there. So I think it's worth noting that the Packers' challenges do go beyond simply losing Micah Parsons. Of course, they lost Christian Watson, as well as one of their other receivers to injury in the game in Denver. So it was, it's a really costly loss. And it's a stacked bracket in the NFC. It's just been so competitive this year that anyone can beat anybody. So I think losing multiple bodies on both sides of the ball, the way the Packers have, is going to make life difficult for them in the postseason. I am still reminded of I think it was 2 seasons ago where they went to Dallas as the 7th seed and stopped them, but I maybe wouldn't see that happening again. Again, if the playoffs were to start today, the Packers would actually have a wildcard fixture in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team with momentum. You could see it going either way, but of course, losing a couple of bodies that they have, I think that the Packers are in a bit of a precarious situation, but I think they've still got enough of a cushion to make it into the postseason.
It's going to be interesting because it is a huge loss, and it's not even like, a lot was made of the trade because it was a blockbuster trade. We all know that. But he's played incredibly well this year. Micah Parsons has played fantastic football. And yeah, as you say, they've lost other pieces as well. All this, do I see it dragging the Packers out at the expense of the Lions? Probably not. I probably agree with you. I think it's more likely the Packers they retain their position way, as you say, the way the schedule's shaping and all that type of stuff. But I wouldn't be shocked by it. Now, the other one, as we mentioned, as I say, Patrick Mahomes, ACL is gone. He's seeking other advice to see how bad, to see if he's done anything else to his knee. We know that he's going to be out for, well, the rest of this season, obviously, but we know that that's going to be a while to recover from. Now, Mahomes isn't, the world's most mobile quarterback anywhere out there, but this is an interesting one because we have got Kansas City Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, who are at a huge turning point in this franchise's, for what has been the recent history, storied recent history. They have been in, AFC Championship game after AFC Championship game, Super Bowl after Super Bowl, ring after ring. Success has been falling from the heavens into Kansas City. But now we are seeing you guys, we're not going to go back over is Travis Kelce retiring chat. You and Sarah talked, extensively about that last week. But it does look like a question mark. That is, even if Travis doesn't retire, Travis Kelce is not the Travis Kelce of a couple of years ago. The production in the field is nowhere near the same. Yes, they've got Rashee Rice. Yes, they've got, bits and pieces that maybe look like they could kind of be things on that team. Their running game's been terrible. The defense, for what was meant to be an incredible defense, does not look like it. And ladies and gentlemen, there is the little issue of the Kansas City Chiefs. So according to overthecap.com, will be looking at opening the season with the new cap. So this isn't based off like old cap numbers. $43.775 million over the cap. And then to make matters worse, the list of players, and I am not going to do the whole list, but the list of players they have on contract years is 26 players long. This is something that you either, for me, and I don't know where you land on this, Gav, either need to say, do you know what? We had a really good run. Let's just sit next year out. Let's wrap Pat in cotton wool. Let him recover super slowly. He can come back the year after and he'll be fully fit, healthy, ready to roll. We rebuild, we retool. We have got, issues all over the field. There is nowhere really that you would look at the Chiefs at the minute and say that entire unit is solid. You've got issues in pretty much every phase of the game. Or do they try and work the cap dark arts and budget and reshuffle deals and restructure this and throw a little bonus at you here and all of this stuff to then get Pat back in probably be at some point September, October-ish next year and make another tilt at it? What do you think? Fundamentally, I suppose I'm asking, should KC do a soft tank? I don't know that I could call it a full tank for Kansas City. Or do they just say, stuff it, we'll work the black magic with the cap and come back next year and try again?
Yeah, I guess when Sarah and I talked about the Chiefs last week, one of the points I kind of made is about culture. You've got an organization that is used to winning. You've got a franchise quarterback that is very much used to winning. I think it's going to be very difficult to say to any of the players, any of the coaches, so long as they're to Patrick Mahomes, this isn't going to be your year. Now, obviously, I'm sure they all manage their expectations, but I think the thought of tanking, they say that no team really wants to tank. That I think we know that's quite true. But
that's not true.
But I do have difficulties seeing that word or even the hint of a tank into the mindset of anyone associated with the Chiefs. I always kind of want to look at the Patriots for comparisons in this one because they had a bit of a gap in their, the dynasty. But I think it was 2005 to 2015 between winning Super Bowls, and of course, I think even they went 4 years between Super Bowls that they lost to the Giants. So they did take a bit of a step back. They had to go and reimagine how they were going to be as a team and as an organization, but they did it whilst remaining competitive. And I think that's what I would be expecting to see with Kansas City. I think the big question for me is probably what happens to Andy Reid, because I think obviously Travis Kelce, I think we're all pretty convinced that he's on his way out. And then obviously there will be players change. The same happens in any organisation, as we said with the Patriots during their successful years. The personnel churned several times over, completely different looking teams throughout that run. I don't see any reason why the Chiefs can't do the same. But I do think it keeps coming back to this point about culture for me. I think that Andy Reid is such a big part of setting the tone within that organisation. And there maybe is a question of should the Chiefs have called it quits back in February. The fact is that you do have your John Elways, your Peyton Mannings, Michael Strahans, and Jerome Bettis, all these guys who were able to go out on top. But it's very difficult to do that. And I guess with the Chiefs, if they'd won the three-peat, you've got 3 in a row. It's completely unprecedented. It puts people in a position where you can say, yes, I can walk away from this. Having that stinging loss the way they did, maybe thought, damn it, I need to come back and try and make good in that. But so maybe, there are going to be people thinking about, is this the time to walk away? For me, I think that the loss of Andy Reid will probably be bigger than any one single player that they could lose to either retirement or free agency. So I think that's the one situation to really keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's interesting. And this is we talk a lot about the Chiefs dynasty and what makes a dynasty and all this type of stuff. Was it Bell or was it Brady? Spoilers, it was clearly Tom Brady. But anyway, and yeah, it's going to be the same questions that we will have all off-season, I dare say, particularly if we do see some of the retirements that we speculate are ahead of us. My question then for this, we've talked a lot, this week, last week, everyone likes to kick into the Chiefs about the Chiefs and their kind of the demise of the moment at the very least. But I suppose a question then, are there any other teams that you guys were all cheery last week? You even sat here and said the Browns should be happy about the future. And then we got to watch Shador, Shadon. Are you looking at the other side of that, though? Are there any teams out there who you think, hang on a minute, you are a team that likes to think you're good and you're really probably in for a bad time? And I'm being particular as no one wants to hear the Jets are rubbish. We know the Jets are rubbish, and they're going to be for quite some time because of the New York Jets. But are there any other teams out there that you look at in the minute you think the future might be a bit more tricky for you based on what we are seeing right now and what we are projecting into your kind of next year?
Yeah, I think there's a couple in here now. I'm maybe going to look at the AFC in particular. So if we think over the recent years, you had your top teams being the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills. We've obviously talked about the Chiefs already. The Ravens are definitely wobbling this year, even with Lamar back. But actually, I do think that the Bills have got cause for concern as well. You are in a more competitive division. Say what you like about the Patriots schedule. They are back. They are going to be someone that's going to be competing with them just to get the FC East crown every year, I think, for the foreseeable. And the nature of the Bills' losses is what's concerned me this season, have been quite unpredictable. I'm looking particularly at that loss to the Dolphins that they had, which is really wobbly. It does feel that as much as we know that quarterback is the most important position in the game, and you do look to your franchise quarterback to have the ability to take your team on your back, that I think there is too much going through Josh Allen at times. And it just worries me that, he's certainly not had the receivers to support him in recent times, a lot more going through the tight ends. The defense had a few question marks as well. They've had some pretty substantial shootouts, it's fair to say, in recent weeks. Obviously yesterday against the Patriots, but also last week against the Bengals. They had quite a high scoring affair against the Buccaneers. And there is part of me that thinks, how long can you keep that up? That's a team that I look at, and I tip them to go to the Super Bowl, but I worry that one of these times they're just not going to come back from 3 scores down.
Yeah, it's a funny one because it's really easy for everything to run through one player when you're winning. And if you only need to depend on Josh Allen because you're leathering teams left and right, then that's great. But if you're not winning, then, and we have seen the Bills wobble a bit. The one for me this year, and I don't know if it's fair to say they're a team that's used to success, because for a couple of years they haven't been successful. But everybody's not pre-season, everybody's early season darlings, the Indianapolis Colts. Gav, they started Philip Rivers.
Yep.
Philip Rivers is back. What year is this? What is going on? That we have got Philip Rivers, who's back starting professional football games with his 10 children. He's a grandfather.
Wow.
He's an actual granddad.
He's back for the health insurance, isn't he?
5 years out he gets now, isn't it?
I'm sure the contract that he's on is still pretty handy as well. But yeah, apparently the health insurance is running out in January, so he's back just to keep that going for another 5 years. The Colts, I mean, we've had a bit of chat about this before. I absolutely agree with you. This is a team that only a month ago, and I was saying that they would have been 10 wins coming into this month. Here we are, a couple of weeks deep into December. They're still sat on 8, and they might not register another one again for the rest of the season, looking at the remaining schedule. They're exciting, they're fun to watch. Jonathan Taylor is very much powering the offense, but supported by a really rejuvenated Daniel Jones, who's now gone out. The problem is, it's not just Philip Rivers. Thinking ahead to next year, some of the moves that the Colts have made, they, of course, invested their first round to get Sauce Gardner. So they don't to bring in younger, cheaper talent. They now have 2 quarterbacks, or potentially they have 2 quarterbacks in the roster, because Daniel Jones is on a 1-year deal. Daniel Jones is someone that you would like to bring back if he's healthy. And you've got Anthony Richardson is still hanging around there as well. But for either fitness or form, there's a good chance that neither of those guys are starting next September. All of a sudden, what do the Colts do? Because they went in big on this season, and I think most neutral observers would actually say good on them, but it's not panned out the way we're hoping. And yeah, they're already potentially starting without their QB1 or QB2.
The interesting bit with the Colts, you've said is, yeah, right, if the Colts, are they going to do much this year? No, they're not. At the end of the day, you ain't going for starting Philip Rivers. As much as I would love it for the drama of Philip Rivers coming back and leading the Colts to the Super Bowl, it would be hilarious. It's not going to happen. And they don't have draft picks because, yeah, they've made moves and they've tried to go big. Now, do have cap space is one thing they do have. Looking ahead to next year, they are the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th team. 10th most cap as it stands now. You know what I mean? And yes, we know there's all those people out there that will sit there and tell me in the comment section, the cap is a myth. Look at what, terrible GMs do to get around it. And yeah, we know. GMs and owners, they do funky stuff with the cap. Colts have got $47 million of space that they're sitting with at the minute. So Danny Dimes, is he back? Who knows? We'll need to wait and see. If he's not, though, they don't have picks to play with, so they can't be sitting and saying, well, we'll trade away things and try and get a big name quarterback in. But there will be quarterbacks out there they'll be able to acquire for more modest prices, and you then need to think, do they have the support and cast around them? I don't know, but it's an interesting one, because at the end of the day, the quarterback's the most important position in football. Daniel Jones was looking okay until teams figured out, hang on a minute, if we take away Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones doesn't look okay anymore. Philip Rivers is Philip Rivers. It's great that he's back. It's a great fun story. Richardson is not and will never be, I will put my money down, he will never be the franchise quarterback that the Colts thought that they were drafting. I'm not saying that he's done in the league. He might be about for a while yet as a, he's a bit of a gadget player and things like that. Sure, he's not going to be the face of your franchise. So, yeah, they are maybe in a sticky problem with this one. Right, the one, and I'm not going to label this point because people will say I'm just being a bitter fan. But the other team that's in serious trouble going forward is the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we all know you're all in this season. And you are going to do what the Pittsburgh Steelers do every single year. And you're going to go about 500. This year, about 500 happens to be enough to win the AFC North. Less said about that, the better. But you are going to go about 500. You're going to get into the playoffs. You're going to get leathered in the wild card round and be done in one. And you are going to have no good draft picks. And you are not going to be able to draft someone to replace the 8,050-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who has not been the Messiah you thought you were getting. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. And it makes me happy to say it out loud. Sorry guys, if anybody didn't know yet, I am a Browns fan and I really, really hate the Steelers more than anyone else. Sorry. Right, okay, Gav, sorry, let's wind this bad boy up. Sorry, I went completely off notes, completely off topic, just because I seen an opportunity to stick the boot into the Steelers. Let's look ahead to week 16. Ba-dum-bum. We are there as the season's getting towards its end. What is your big game of week 16 that you're looking forward to, Cav, mate?
Do you know what? There just seems to be games with playoff implications all through the schedule. But I think the one that's really screaming out to me is actually, possibly for the first time this season, it's Thursday night football.
Woo!
It's been a while since we really hyped up that, but Rams versus Seahawks. Kind of alluded to that earlier. 2-11 Rams currently holding on to the one seed, but actually a win for Seahawks completely turns things on its head and would put the Seattle Seahawks in the driving seat. It was a close game last time. This time Seahawks have got home field advantage. Obviously, we mentioned as well, Davante Adams, it looks like he's going to be out of that one. So the Rams will kind of be making do with the rest of the receiving core. Is one that could go either way. Again, thinking ahead to the postseason, what could that mean for home field advantage? Seattle historically has been a really tough place to play in January, so that could really tilt the scales if the Seahawks can come away with the win on Thursday night. I think that's got to be the one that really jumps out to me.
Yeah, that could be a correct. It's really weird because like Thursday night football tends to be awful. And I don't know why. I think it's just the footballing gods hate everybody in the States, which is funny because they get to see more of this than we do. But yeah, no, Thursday night football hasn't been great so much this year. And yeah, that could be a belter. For me, big one I'm really looking forward to, Chargers-Dallas. 2-1. I've just enjoyed watching the Chargers this year when they've been playing. I love it that they knocked the Chiefs out because that just makes my heart happy. It is this thing of Herbert is just a great quarterback to watch. I love watching him play. Been great all year. And this is the kind of thing where and what he could potentially do against the Dallas secondary is terrifying. Because if anybody hasn't caught last night's game, if anybody hasn't seen what happened to Dallas, they lost terribly to the Vikings because the Vikings are not a good football team this year. Because they fundamentally have me playing in their secondary. And it went exactly as you would project if you put someone like me in your secondary. Did you catch much of the Vikings-Cowboys game?
To be honest, I only saw limited clips. The one thing that actually screamed out to me was the beautiful, beautiful recreation of the Peyton Manning play action from, I think, about 10 years ago. So JJ McCarthy's obviously been studying his history against the Cowboys. Other than that, didn't see too much of this one, I'm afraid.
Well, your best to watch with a fake field goal, which was great. And credit to the Cowboys for that. I did love that. I do like some trickery. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, their secondary was absolutely trash. And they got ripped apart by JJ McCarthy of all people. So, not a great example. But the Cowboys are also a team, though, this year that when they play well, they're great to watch. Dak's been slinging it all year. So yeah, my game of the week for next week that I'm really looking forward to is going to be Chargers-Dallas. I am hoping for something ridiculous. I said it a couple of weeks ago that I was really looking forward to the Bengals-Bills game because I thought it was going to be a shootout. I called that one dead on the money. So I'm really hoping that I'm right again and we're going to get a shootout out of the Chargers and Dallas, which is just good to watch, particularly when you're a Cleveland fan and you don't get to see good offense ever. So yeah, I'm going to go with that, and I'm hoping against all hope, Gav, that is going to be a good one, and we'll get to see Herbert and Dak shoot it out against each other. And yeah, who knows? Maybe we do get to see the Cowboys pull off this really crazy string of results they need to make that big push into the postseason. Right, with a look ahead done, we are going to draw things to a close, and I hope that you have enjoyed listening to and watching our look back at week 15 in the NFL. You know, episodes is here every single Tuesday to walk you through the weekend's action. Make sure that you are subscribed to us. As I say, we are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Music, we are wherever you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Get these things as soon as they drop. And yeah, make sure that you don't miss a minute of NFL action here with us in Tartan Touchdown. Gav, once again, mate, thank you so much. It has been great to have you on.
It's been a pleasure again. I think we will actually be getting the band back together before the year's out, so looking forward to it.
Absolutely, mate. So yes, thank you everybody for listening. I've been Brian, he has been Gav, and until next time, we will catch up with you then.